Hey, what is up YouTube? This is the Merman Master coming at you guys from the Team Time Riders YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a discussion on combos in my brand new Cyber Dragon character deck. That's right guys. So as I discussed a little bit in the original video, the combos in this deck are pretty crazy, and I wanted to construct a deck that focused around Cyber Barrier and Cyber Laser Dragon and getting these guys out at massively high attack power. But some of the combos in this deck have different kind of methodologies to them, so I'm going to kind of go through a combo video and discuss really a couple of the cards that I think you guys might want to run in a deck like this. So let's get started. So as I discussed in the original video, the first combo I want to show you is what I think is the best combo in the whole deck. Not necessarily the best combo, but I would say the combo that is why I got inspired to kind of create this deck. So you have right here one copy of Future Fusion, one copy of Born from Draconis, and one copy of this card or Laser Dragon or Cyber Eltanin in your hand. The idea is you first want to activate your Future Fusion, and unfortunately guys, this is pretty slow, so you can't send the materials right away, very unfortunately, but you have to wait a turn for it to happen. So I would not recommend setting this card in case it gets popped beforehand. So you got to wait a turn for Future Fusion to kind of resolve. But the idea is that yes, it has resolved and it sent a boatload of reptiles to the graveyard because you've revealed your Chimera Tech Overdragon from your extra deck. So you reveal Chimera Tech Overdragon, who can send a pretty much infinite number of materials. You then set your Born from Draconis on the field and your turn. On your opponent's turn, you can trigger your Born from Draconis to special summon your Cyber Laser Dragon or your Cyber Barrier Dragon, whichever one you have in your hand, at like 5,500, 45 to 55 to 6,500 attack power with no ability, unaffected by pretty much everything, and can negate the first attack that comes at him per turn. So I've won tons of duels using this card because nobody can out him, and people always think it's pretty crazy. So that's going to be the first combo. The next combo is actually just Born from Draconis, one or more. So let's say like this is in the graveyard, right? That's in the graveyard. One or more of those, and Cyber Eltanin. Now, Born from Draconis was originally made in the manga to summon Eltanin. So what you do is you can have Born from Draconis set, Cyber Eltanin in hand. Usually you can get Eltanin out during your turn by utilizing its effect, but it's even better using Born from Draconis because you can do so on your opponent's turn. Special Eltanin to the field by banishing any light reptiles on your field or in your graveyard, and Eltanin's effect will trigger during your opponent's turn for a massive tempo-destroying board wipe. So that's a really, really great play, especially if you're on the defensive and you're kind of trying to get into your main combos. The Eltanin play is very, very useful for that. So now we're going to move on and showcase to you a couple of other plays. This play is a pretty simple play. This is Cyber Pharos and Cyber Dragon Hers. Cyber Dragon Hers cannot trigger by itself. You usually need a way to discard it or send it to the graveyard in order for it to proc its effect and get you a card. But if you use Cyber Dragon Hertz and you tribute over Cyber Dragon Hertz with Pharos, you're allowed to search a card from your deck to your hand that has Cyber Dragon in its name, or from your graveyard to your hand. So you can search, for instance, one copy of Cyber Dragon from your deck to your hand. Just a really, really great option to have here. Or let's say that you have Cyber Dragon Core in your graveyard. You can grab the Cyber Dragon Core because it counts as Cyber Dragon from your graveyard back to your hand. Now, this becomes even more interesting when you send your Cyber Dragon Hers off of Future Fusion, right? So if you reveal, for instance, a monster like your Cyber Eternity Dragon, which has very, very generalized materials from your extra deck, you're very flexible about the materials that you can send to your graveyard. So let's say now we're going to do this. Reveal Cyber Dragon Eternity, and we're going to send, guys, Cyber Dragon Hers, Cyber Dragon Core and OG Cyber Dragon from the deck to the graveyard in order to special summon that card next turn. Hers' effect will trigger Engrave, allowing you to grab back your Cyber Dragon Core to your hand. Because you didn't activate Cyber Dragon Core's effect, you've now effectively Search Core, can normal summon it on the field, and get its effect off. So really, really great options here for kind of keeping your opponent at bay as you move through your deck in the way that you're intending. Now, moving on to our next combo, guys, we have the massively awesome and crazy combos that result from Photon Generator Unit. Okay? Now, Photon Generator Unit is a card that requires 2 Cyber Dragons. The card must be named Cyber Dragon to be tributed on your side of the field in order to special summon Cyber Laser Dragon. So, way back in the day, this is probably the worst possible play that you could make. But you now have access to a whole bunch of monsters that count as Cyber Dragon on the field that you can grab using their own effects. You know? So I'll give you an example of some of the things that you contribute. I created this entire main deck primarily for the purpose of allowing you to access your Photon Generator Unit and Cyber Laser Dragon as often as possible. So here are the 5 big monsters. You've got Cyber Dragon, you have Cyber Dragon Core, you have Cyber Dragon Noxter, Hertz, and Veer. Now, Veer, I think, is the most important out of the strategy because when any of these other guys are normal or special summoned, Veer can special summon himself on the field and counts as a Cyber Dragon. Okay? So, let's say if you have any one of these, we'll say Hers and Veer. Normal Hers, special Veer. You can now activate your Photon Generator Unit. And Photon Generator Unit will special summon the Cyber Laser Dragon by tributing the Hers and the Veer. So you'll first and foremost get that effect off, but you'll also grab Cyber Laser Dragon straight to your field. Now, this is awesome for OTK plays because Photon Generator Unit is a quick play spell card, which is probably the most flexible spell card that you can have in the game. So you're utilizing that with your Photon Generator Unit to go into Cyber Laser Dragon. And I'll showcase kind of an example of how some of these plays might work. So, let's look here. I have access to this card over here. We have Inferno Reckless Summon, or your Machine Duplication. But we're going to start things out here with Inferno Reckless Summon. So, Inferno Reckless Summon basically has a ability that says when you special summon a monster with less than 1500 attack power, you can grab any monsters that have the same name, as many as possible from the hand, deck, or graveyard. So why is this important? So, one of the cards that you special summon using this effect, and the chief way that you trigger it is utilizing Cyber Dragon Noxter. Let's say you have this card plus Hers in your hand, right? We're going to start this out. Like so. You have Hers, Noxter. Like this could be any Cyber Dragon, but you must have Noxter. So what you'll do is you'll ditch whatever card that you want in your hand, special summon Hers. Hers' effect will trigger if you've got any 2100 attack light machine type monsters, it'll special summon them. This effect will trigger, but it doesn't necessarily have to. The most important thing is you special summon Hers, and that Hers is less than 1500. You now trigger Inferno Reckless Summon, grabbing you a whole bunch of Cybers. The one you just discarded, you know, if you've got another Cyber Dragon, or you want to go for a Veer, or something else, you know, pretty much up to 5 Cyber Dragon monsters you can grab to the field. Basically what that does is, since they all count as Cyber Dragon, it allows you to have extra plays that you would not have had otherwise. So you see every single thing on this field counts as Cyber Dragon. Now you've got 21, 21. If you did a third Cyber Dragon, that'd be 21, right? But unfortunately, you have Cyber Dragon Noxter and Cyber Dragon Hers, which only combine together for 300 attack points. How do you solve that problem? Photon Generator Unit. You tribute them both off. You special summon a Cyber Laser Dragon to the field. He's a nice 2400 beater that can bring you in for some extra damage, and is also great at, especially if you summon him during the main phase, for instance, at popping something your opponent controls that would have been in the way of your OTK. So you can see the amount of advantage that you generate makes summoning this card not really a loss. Even though Photon Generator Unit is technically a -3, you're not really losing too much from utilizing him. You have the Veer, you have access to the Cyber Dragons, and so, the most important thing for me, at least, was fielding a bunch of monsters named Cyber Dragon to the field as much as possible to make Photon Generator Unit live almost all the time. And that was really the goal of the deck to start with. Now, I've discussed this a little bit, but I'm moving on to my next personal favorite combo in the deck. And this combo I've only pulled off once or twice, and is probably not a combo that you really should rely on to win you games. But if you do decide to switch up the strategy of this deck, you can definitely do it. So what you need for this combo are these 3 cards, or ways to get to them. You cannot search pretty much this fusion spell unless you run cards to search fusion cards from your deck to your hand. But these 2 are not searchable, and then you can easily grab this one from the deck. But in order to have this play access, you need maybe 2 to 3 Cyber Dragons in the grave. So we'll do, one of these guys, and then maybe a Noxter, since it counts as Cyber Dragon in grave. Now, this is very important. So, as you guys know from the graduation duel, Zane was a crazy, powerful, duelist. And it was one of the only people who actually who Jaden did not ever defeat over the entire course of the game. I think it was Kaiba Man and Zane were the only 2 that Jaden never really took down. So, when I was watching that duel, the one thing that I noticed was that Zane always went on the defensive. It didn't matter what happened or how the play of the game went. Zane was always on the offensive. And so I was thinking, way back to the final duel where he activates Battle Fusion, and then Jaden's got a Battle Fusion, and then Jaden triggers a Final Fusion, and it was this whole bombastic thing where the monsters got up to massive powers of attack. And I'm like, okay, well, Battle Fusion is a pretty difficult card to trigger because you're not guaranteed to get a fusion monster on the field in most duels. You want cards that'll be useful all the time. So I came up with this combo, and it has to do with Flash Fusion, Cybernetic Fusion support, and limiter removal. As I discussed in the original video, what you want to do is you activate Cybernetic Fusion support to allow you to basically get Miracle Fusion. Now, it's a little bit of a roundabout way of doing this, and it's technically a -1. But since you've got these Cyber Dragons just chilling in your graveyard, as they are wont to do after, a duel is done, you enter battle phase, and you say, all right, Jaden, by the end of this battle phase, you're going to be destroyed and done. So you could say that to your opponent, make a whole big bombastic anime look out of it. And then you activate Cybernetic Fusion support, and you say, by the end of this battle phase, even though I have no monsters on board, your attack points will be, your life points will be reduced to 0. How do you do it? You activate Flash Fusion now. Flash Fusion can banish either 2 or 3 of these guys in your graveyard to special summon a Cyber Twin or a Cyber End Dragon. But since it's crazier and more fun, we're going to grab the Cyber End Dragon. And then you declare battle and attack. And during damage calculation, you drop limiter removal, boosting him up to 8k for game exactly. So, as you guys can see, this is a pretty awesome, nutty combo that is not really, it's not really going to win you any competitive matches. But when you're talking about building a deck that is in the spirit of the character you're playing, a combo like this feels so Zane, it's not even funny. So, because Flash Fusion destroys the monster during the end phase, it has a similar kind of restriction to Power Bond. Zane's like, well, I need to win now before the bad effect of the card that I just activated hits me. So he only will activate a combo like this if he's sure he's going to win. Like he knows you don't have the Battle Fader or something like that. So this is one of those really awesome plays that I think you can activate if you're playing a Zane deck. So that is for that combo. Now, one of the other combos I'd like to discuss in this deck has to do with cybernetic fusion support and, of course, some of your other fusion spells. Cybernetic fusion support is a crazy card because it really opens up your Cyber Dragon cards to being moved around your deck. Utilizing this plus some of your other fusions allows you to go for some really interesting plays, particularly with Cyberload Fusion and Power Bond. Now, I only run Power Bond at 1 in the deck, and people may be asking why. Why don't you run it at 2? Well, for me, fusion summoning is not the goal of the deck. I have different fusion spells in here to add flavor to the deck and to provide options to go while you're assembling your main Cyber Barrier / Cyber Laser unaffected 6k attack combo. And it kind of draws people's attention away so that when you drop that massive Cyber Laser or Cyber Barrier Dragon on them, they're just like, oh my god, I never saw that coming. It makes for a really, really fun duel style. But basically, Cybernetic Fusion support turns anything into a fusion spell from hand, deck, or graveyard. So you take a look at a card like Power Bond or Overload Fusion that require you to have the fusion monsters on the field. Cybernetic Fusion support basically turns what would be a -3 or -4 into literally just a -2 or a -1. Utilizing Power Bond to banish cyber monsters from your graveyard instead of special summoning them is a great way to conserve advantage. Cyberload Fusion usually takes all your banished stuff and puts it back into your deck, which is great for cycling things through using Chimera Tech Overdragon. However, sometimes you might not have stuff that's banished, and you may need to use Cyberload Fusion. Cyberload Fusion is a normal fusion spell. Cybernetic Fusion support turns Cyberload Fusion into a normal fusion spell, allowing you to use things in your hand, grave, and banish for Cyberload Fusion's effect, which comes up more often than you guys may think. You might not have had cards that allow you to banish a whole bunch of stuff, and if you top deck a Cyberload Fusion, having the ability to use things in your graveyard and banish them to special summon a massive Chimera Tech Overdragon can be way more important than you may think. So that, I think, is one of the most important cards and styles of play, combo-wise, that you can do in the deck. Now, moving on to a couple of the extra deck monsters that I really wanted to discuss before we wrap up this video, guys. We have access to a bunch of different cards. Now, one of the chief, of course, are Cyber Twin and Cyber N, which are your anime cards. And we have a couple of cards that I think increase consistency. Now, I'm split on this being an actual character card, Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, given how insanely and absurdly powerful it is in character deck settings. However, it's just in here in case you guys may, your friends or whatever may not necessarily be playing a character deck duel or maybe playing some more modern version of a deck that's out, and this will give you a fighting chance against that person. So those are also really good for that. But the chief cards that I think that make the deck go round are your Chimera Tech Overdragon and your Cyber Eternity Dragon, simply for being cards that allow you to utilize your fusion spells and just general monsters that you have laying around to get into these guys. They're not as particular about their fusion materials as some of the other monsters you run, like Cyber Twin and Cyber N, but the most important thing is that they also allow you to get out, some really great special summon cards. So, I just think that, cards that allow you to send cybers to your grave, banish them, or utilize all your different fusion spells to get them where you need them to go is really important for a deck like this. And so I highly recommend. The last cards I kind of want to discuss here before we wrap up this combo video are the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons and Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragons. Now you may be asking, why run these if this is a Season 1 Zane deck? Well, I like these guys primarily because, for instance, Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon replaces Lynx for all intents and purposes and is not a Link monster himself, but you know how Lynx allow you to send things to the grave to special summon other monsters. It turns things that are not advantageous on the field by themselves into things that can generate you more advantage. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon allows you to trigger that effect, and Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon allows you to banish, or should I say, I'm not sure if banish is the right word, but to get a harmful monster in the extra monster zone out of your opponent's extra monster zone while putting a big body on board as well. The only thing I don't like about these guys is that they can't be used for fusion materials themselves, which is kind of unfortunate, considering that I really would want to use them as fusion materials for other cards or banish them off of things like that. But they're unfortunately light dark machine type monsters, and so I got the Chimera Techs in here at 2 and 3 because I feel like, you know, you will be linking or quote unquote linking these guys, or going into these guys quite a lot, and more than you may think that you're going into them. And so I think it is very important to be able to have them here just for the option. As this is a GX deck, guys, I'm running only fusions and no links in here, so you know that's really important to keep your combos going. But guys, that's going to do it for my combo video. Now, I'd like for you to stay tuned, because what I'm going to be doing next is a test hands video, going through the deck in one cut so you guys can really see some of the awesome strategies that we have planned. So that's going to do it for this combo video, guys. If you liked it, please remember to rate, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see next. All right, guys, catch you later. Peace.